So when slavery became in America illegal, everyone that had slaves were still lawmakers that used to have slaves. They still were passing laws. So can you imagine this conversation? Yo, what are we gonna do now? We don't have slaves. Well, we have to make it where they're slaves, but they don't know it. How do we do that? Well, let's oppress them and let's make them fight each other. So every time one kills, we get one kill, and then one goes to jail. We get 2 for 1. Plus, they all have kids. They have kids. So now they don't have parents. They're disenfranchised. So now the kids do the same exact thing because they have nobody to lead them. You understand what I'm saying?
This Sunday Soul podcast is entitled, Where Are Our Kings? We've gone from Tutankhamun to here in America, Chief Black Hawk, and over in Europe, the Moors. Great men of color. And they've been replaced by those who consider themselves mobsters, leaders, encourage our young men to kill those that are other supposed leaders. Join me tonight when we talk about where are our kings and what we can do to save Black America. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is a special edition of the Sunday Soul podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lisa Brewer, CEO of Heart of Inspiration. And I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to talk just for a little bit about why even this podcast and how this all came about. And then this is being recorded live. So there'll be a point where we're actually going to break the recording, and then we will go on and chat with the chat just for a short while. What precipitated my creating this podcast or wanting to have this discussion was a few things. So today is November the 7th, 2022, and just a few days ago, Takeoff, who some of you may or may not know who he is. He was a member of the Migos hip hop rap group. The Migos, they're one of their more famous, or two of their more famous members being Offset, Cardi B's husband, and Quavo, who has dated Saweetie and I think a few other people. Anyway, Quavo and Takeoff were at another gentleman's establishment, bowling alley / pool hall, a young man by the name of J. Prince Jr. This was Halloween night, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And argument ensued. At first, we all thought it was because of a dice game. And then we come to find out a few days later, a week later, that it was as a result of an argument between Quavo and J. Prince Jr. allegedly, and one of the young men that was one of J. Prince Jr.'s soldiers, allegedly, known as Lil Cam, unfortunately unalived, Takeoff directly with a gunshot to the head. And then there's more shooting that ensued, and What saddened me, so that saddened me, that was enough. And then there was this whole thing that happened as a result of this. It's all happened in Houston. And as a result of this, it was interesting because there were a number of people that I don't think they were at this party, right? This big thing. And they were at this party, and what ended up happening was all these people saw what happened, but then nobody saw what happened. All of a sudden, this crime culture, this mobster culture, this gang culture, this culture of no snitching, all of a sudden came about from people that aren't involved. They're not in the gang, they're not in the mobsters, they're not nothing. They're what they call civilians. But they wouldn't say anything. Now, some say that's out of fear of retaliation to their own families, and that could be it. It could be the fact that we have, by and large, music and the music industry and media culture and media representation in both social media and television and all sorts of different places, movies that propagate and promulgate and lift up gang culture, crime culture, the gangsters and the this and the that. You don't dare snitch. You don't dare tell on anybody because of either fear of the retaliation or just because that's not what we do. We don't tell, we don't this, we don't, and that's being a true leader. I was shocked and dismayed. Now, we're not going to get into whether or not this was a ritualistic unaliving. We're not going to do by the numbers and the gematria. I just want to talk about the culture that we now have and how those of us who are Gen Xers and the baby boomers, how we allowed this to happen, how we allowed this to be cultivated and curated and propagated throughout so that it permeates every area of our culture. So here are these young women and young men, they ain't saying nothing. I know all of them saw, you couldn't help, right? There had to be quite a few, but nobody was going to the police. And then it came out that the little Cam, it said, had been unalived in Houston's Fifth Ward. Now, come to find out, from what we are hearing, Lil Cam's still alive. And yet, Takeoff's mother had to buy a black dress. Takeoff was a father. That child will now never grow up with their father. He was a brother and a son and a nephew and a cousin. And now all of those people have lost their loved one. All the while, mind you, all the while, we have a young man by the name of Jay Prince Jr. that people are saying allegedly, was he trying to be a mobster? His daddy is Jay Prince, reportedly was a gangster, mobster, whatever, allegedly. We don't know. I don't know. I'm not in it. I'm a civilian. I'm like DJ Academics. I'm a civilian. I don't know. But what I do know is we have a young man, young 30 something, I don't even know if he was 30, dead. We have at least two other people seriously injured. I guess they're doing all right. We don't know what the long-term ramifications. Other people witnessed this happen and they will never be the same. And what sickened me and what hurt me was everyone closed down. There have been too many young hip-hop deaths. There have been too many young hip-hop deaths. There have been too many young Black men and young Black women unalived in our streets, some in their homes, some at clubs, some at the grocery store, some on their way home from work, some on their way to work. We just had a mass school pow happen at a predominantly, if not all Black school. That does not happen in our community. Not typically. It used to be. Now, this is nothing against any other culture, any other community. I'm just merely talking about ours right now. Those of us with the little extra melanin, the brown and Black. That's all I'm talking about. This is so this is a family discussion. It's a family podcast. And so people that, you're welcome to stay, but I want you to stay and listen. And then I want you to pray that and send good energy. That's the best way to help. That doesn't happen at our school. You see, the schools have always been a no pow zone. It used to be back in the day when I was coming up, and then when I was in my 20s and my 30s, I'm 54 now, schools were off limits. This was one of the things that we did, agree with the Italians on, in that the schools were off limits. You didn't go, and if you had beef with somebody, you didn't take it up by the school. And if y'all two both were school age, you took it away from the school. We just didn't do that. We respected the school zone because those are our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our nephews, our nieces. So we respected that area. You won't do that. And now that's not the case. For the first time as I can remember in recent history, I mean ever, I've been around for quite a few of these things. What's happened? And nobody know nothing. Now there had been that pew-pewing down in Texas somewhere last year, 2021 maybe it was. Young man. There was a few people outside. And he actually went to go get one particular person. That wasn't this somebody just walking in the school that had been a student and opening up. That just doesn't happen. So all of these things happened, yeah? And then I was listening on Sunday morning to the podcast that I played some part of, Diary of a CEO. I'm going to put that into the description box below. The young man from London, did an interview with Dame Dash. And that's the clip I played in the trailer. And the clip that I played here is an hour and a half long, I think almost 2 hours. Very much well worth the listen. But Dame said something that struck a chord. I mean, struck a chord. When they were talking about Kanye and the recent cancellation of Kanye, as opposed to Jay-Z, as opposed to, some of the Rockefeller gang group, and how, and just entrepreneurs in general. And he was talking about, especially Black entrepreneurs, how we will, if you end up working for the corporation for too long, especially when you get to those levels that they're at, you basically have kind of fallen into the trap and they basically own you. And he said, listen, overall, he said, if you think about it, once slavery was over, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, both Republicans and Democrats, owned slaves. Don't get it twisted. Don't be asleep. We were and still are a commodity. We were and still are chattel in others' eyes, not in my eyes. My eyes, when I see you, other black and brown, when I see other melanated, I see kings and queens. I don't see chattel and property to be owned. However, the problem is, I'll get to that in a minute, but we only see ourselves in a monetary value. We no longer value life on just for the sake of valuing life. We have lost our spirituality. We have lost our spiritual connection to spirit, source, creator. It is lost. Some of us are rejuvenating and bringing it back to our remembrance. And I'm speaking now to the Gen Xers and the boomers. The Gen Xers and the baby boomers. We did this. I'm not saying we knew better, but we did this. And if you know better, I'm calling on you to break your own chains from this system. You better reach down, not reach retch. You better reach down and reach around. And you better get some of these millennials. And you better help some of these Gen Zers. Because what I see right now, by and large, we have a lack of royalty. And once us as royalty goes on to the next dimension and goes on to our next adventure, this is a sad and sorrowful situation. Now, what Dame said, Dame, by the way, is a Gen Xer, along with the rest of us. What Dame then said is, you got to dig this here. See, once slavery was over, all these people that had owned, we were part of the economy. We were a cog in the economic wheel. Well, what are we going to do? Because now we're losing slave labor. Now there's other sayings I've heard recently. If y'all go watch, if you ain't seen Black Adam yet, try to see Black Adam before Wakanda. But if you can't, go right after Wakanda. Spend you about 5 hours at the theater. See Black Adam if you ain't seen it. You need to see it now. Because a people can only be enslaved if you enslave their mind. Because an enslaved mind is an enslaved spirit, is an enslaved body, is an enslaved man. So, at any rate, what did they do? Then they set up certain levels of oppression. Once we oppress them, get them to be what? Crabs in a barrel fighting against one another. Now, once they fight against one another, what happens? One probably going to come up unalive, and then the other one gets put in prison. Now we got 2 for 1. If you don't think that's what's happening right now, I can't help you. If you don't think that during 2020, 2021, and a good chunk of 2022, that got ratcheted up, and some of y'all fell for it. Now, y'all might not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Some of y'all fell for it. Some of y'all listen to people saying, we're here to help. You matter. They didn't care nothing about you. I hate to tell you. Truth be told, they didn't care nothing about. Now, listen. I'm not saying nothing against you. I'm just saying we got to own it. And now we got to do better. This has been going on for years. Y'all that are in my age group, y'all will remember Boys in the Hood. Y'all will remember that. Um, what was some of the other ones that was out? Set It Off. What was some of the other ones that was out? Oh, I could see the boy running in the street. There were a lot of young gangster, young boys in the hood growing up movies, and some of them would make it and some of them wouldn't. We sensationalized in our desire to tell our story. We also ended up sensationalizing it. Hip hop did not start out as gangsta rap. Hip hop did not start out with bitches and hoes. Hip hop did not start out with your shirt wet. Hip hop did not start out glorifying going to prison. For somebody's mama have to get in a black dress and a box to bury their child. That's not how we started out. That's not how hip hop started. You need to go back and find out if you don't know. But we allowed a few things to happen. And they happen underneath our noses. But I'm gonna show it to you. And what you do with it, I don't know. But I'm trying to find the kings. I'm trying to find our kings. I'm trying to make sure that we reach that wretch down there and get our young men and our young women. We'll talk about the queens another time. But I got to start talking about the kings because our kings are dying. Our young kings are dying in the street. Our young kings are dying in the prisons. Our young kings are dying in our schools because their minds are dying. So you oppress them, you get them to be crabs in a barrel. One goes in the ground, one goes into prison. But they're having children. So now we got single mamas out here, put them on entitlement programs, make them beholden to the system, because the minute they get off of that program, then they lose all the help before they're really ready to be self-sufficient. This is a hard pill for some of us to swallow. This is a hard pill, but I got to give it to you. I got to give it to you straight with no chaser. Because the thing is, yes, they give you a leg up, but I've seen this happen in my own personal people I've hired over the course of the years. They tell me they can't make above a certain amount in a sales position where they can make unlimited amounts of money. Why? Because if they make over a certain amount, then their benefits get cut and they can't afford, they're not ready yet. They can't afford the child care and this and that. So if all their benefits get cut, they won't be able to work. So you keep them locked in this. You keep them locked. They keep us locked. Our schools in urban centers are not what they used to be. And then they said, well, we're going to desegregate the schools. So we're going to bus y'all all around the city. Well, at some point, though, not everybody wants their children's bused everywhere. Right is right, wrong is wrong. That's the true story. It might have been good at first. It was a wonderful token. But in practicality, that's not what's happening now, is it? Where's the busing to another school? That don't happen. You in your neighborhood. Oh, that was terrible to have these children on the bus. Because sometimes some of these kids would be on the bus from 5:30 in the morning trying to get to school. So now what happens is now everybody goes to the neighborhood school. The neighborhood school in certain areas have an inferior education. The math don't math no more. Math ain't math. They don't teach you cursive. Now it's all over. But in our schools and in urban areas, we don't have computers and this and that. Textbooks aren't up to par. They'll just pass you if you can read or you can't read. You can do math or you can't. It, it's a sad situation. At home, there's not enough structure. Why? Because everything's helter skelter anyway. Because everyone is just trying to survive. We're not thriving. We're surviving because unemployment rates are high, crime rates are high, police interaction rates are high because crime rates are high, because unemployment is high. We don't have a lot of businesses in our areas. And then, as we were actually making fantastic ground, and in 2019, coming into early 2020, Black unemployment was at all-time lows since the 1950s, which I might add was when we predominantly were quote unquote segregated, had our own communities, businesses, but our business ownership, small business ownership, entrepreneurship, all-time high. Our mean income, all-time high. Then unemployment, all-time low until 2019 into 2020. That's the first time since the 1950s that our entrepreneurship had risen to double digits. Our unemployment had declined even in our youth to single digits. And then what happened? 2020. The Ronas, the lockdowns, the mandates, the fear mongering, and the people entering into our neighborhoods with bricks, Molotov cocktails, all sorts of things at night. Now, during this whole time, music prior to now, it did something for us. We communicated musically. It uplifted. It did a whole lot. But what never was until recently, our we had in the 50s, and dare I say even the 60s, and in a lot lesser in the 70s, but by the 80s and 90s, our role models were no longer our Dr. Kings or our Shirley Chisholms, or, you know what I'm saying? Our great thinkers, great scholars, great men and women who are orators. They all of a sudden started becoming our basketball players, our football players. Nothing against them. Our rappers. All at the same time, we have this advent and introduction and induction into our world of gangster rap and glorifying. When our men came back from Vietnam, they were hooked on heroin and LSD because they'd been pumped full of it while they were over there, allegedly. Come home from Iraq, some of the same things. It was being pushed in our communities. Crack cocaine was introduced into our communities and became an epidemic. Guys, where are our kings? We, the once great people who are descendants of Tutankhamun and Chief Black Hawk and the great Moors, whom Europeans would come down into our schools, our academies, raid our libraries and steal away our scientists and our mathematicians, our astrologers and our astronomers, our medicine men and women. Where are they? Where are they? I'm going to propose to you that they're still here, but we have to decide. We, Gen Xers, boomers. Now, there are some Gen Zers and there's some millennials that are beginning to wake up. They're like, hey, wait a minute. That Christianity thing we got taught, I don't know about all that. But I do know about this. I was watching a TikTok, and this woman, she's lovely. She's from the continent. And she says, Africans lived, especially the Western Africans, lived by the energy or the concept of Ubuntu, which is I am and you are, which is we are one. We are one with nature. We are one with each other. Ubuntu. We've lost that. The colors, the reason why the native, indigenous here, and Incan and Mayan and African, all vibrant colors, because we have an innate understanding that we need to see and experience all of the colors of the chakras, so that they can stay in alignment. And we soak in the frequencies. We understood that we needed to eat root plants and green plants, and we understood the sun was critical for life, and the moon for rest and spiritual commune. That water was life. That women were revered because we are the ones that create and hold creation. Yeah. We are the ones with the womb. Stolen from us, taken from us, plagiarized from us, bastardized, changed into something that is unrecognizable. Our heritage stripped, lies told about where we come from, who we are. Our music changed to a beat and a frequency and that doesn't enact harmony and love and wisdom, but instead chaos and rage and anger. Yeah. I am saying all of this to say to us, to the mothers, to the queens, to the old heads, to the kings, if you are still here, we need you. We need you to stop acting like you got no dog in this fight. We need you, kings, the true men, the real men, to stand up and take your place. We need you to stop expecting us to do it all and carry your weight. This is not about submission. This is not about red pilling. This is about you saving your culture and your children. And even if you did not father them, they are your children, because you expect for us to raise the village, and yet you want no part. We need the kings to king. We need the kings to decide finally there's enough room on the throne. In other words, there's a king's throne and there's a queen's throne. Just because I sit on mine don't mean you can't sit on yours. We can rule this together. We together need to teach the rest. Step up and be the king that you are. If you don't remember how you got there, if you don't remember who you are, I'm going to need you to go back and find out. I'm going to need you to crack open a real book, a book that's been hidden from you. I'm going to ask you to go and investigate. I'm going to ask you to research. I'm going to ask you to come outside of the religious dogma that has been beat into you. I'm going to ask you to come away from the mob mentality and the crime. I'm going to ask you to come away from that. The crime culture. It's not cool. I'm going to ask you to remember that these are somebody's children and they are our future. So if you don't want to have to keep on looking over your shoulder, if you don't want to have to, Lord have mercy, I'm going to have to move somewhere way out so I can't be around none of these children when they get older because they ain't going to be worth a quarter. If you actually want our people to survive and thrive, if it matters, I'm going to ask you to dust yourself off. I don't give a damn about your red pill and your blue pill and your black pill and your that pill. I don't care no more. I don't care. I don't care. Because all that politics stuff, that don't make no bit of difference to me. I don't want to hear no more about submissions. I don't want to hear no more about I got to take my place. I don't want to hear nothing about that. What I want you to do is step up to the plate. Now, mothers, I'm going to be on you two queens. We're going to have to stop. We're going to have to stop nitpicking and we're going to have to stop. We got to take our place too. Let's teach our young ladies to have some respect for themselves. Dress how you want, but can you respect yourself? It's not required for you to open up your legs to everybody. Young man, it ain't required for you to try to sow your seed in every garden that you come across either. We need to teach. Listen, if you got nephews, if you got cousins, if you got grandbabies, you need to teach them. You need to gather up some of these young mothers and say, listen, I ain't saying you're doing the wrong thing, but baby, let me help you out a little bit, just a little bit. We need to reach out to them because young mothers, I have all the respect in the world for you because you didn't get a handbook. You didn't get a handbook. And we've kind of just left you here, not understanding that you maybe bristling up at us wasn't against us, but it's because you've been so used to being hurt, left alone, latchkeyed, didn't nobody, or you've been so used to getting everything you wanted that nobody told you life was not going to be fair. That goes for young kings too. So we got to do better. Otherwise, we're going to lose. We're going to be in worse shape than we are today, when this should be the greatest awakening, not just for everybody else, but this should be the greatest melanin awakening in the age to start the new age. Let's find ourselves again. Let's crown our kings. Let's crown our queens. Let's raise our princes and our princesses. Let's bring our initiates on and teach. Let's teach them in the ways of old. Give them a true spirituality that sings to their DNA, that connects them one with Creator, Self, Earth, and us. Ubuntu, humanity. I am because we are. I cannot do it without you. You cannot do it without me. Where are our kings? I'm calling you. And I'm going to call y'all again. But I'm calling you today. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me at heartofinspiration.net. You can find me on YouTube at Heart of Inspiration, on TikTok at Heart of Inspiration, on Instagram at Heart of INSP. Please sign up for our newsletter. I want to thank you. And we have some very special teaching and healing opportunities coming up for you. Now I'm going to play my closing just so we can close this out. And then I'm going to continue the live broadcast. But for those of you not continuing, peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. And I love you all so very much. Namaste. Oseo. Ase. Ashe. Okay, gang. Thank you for that there, because I'll be cutting that and then posting that. I need to go eat, though, y'all. I'm going to be honest with you. I need to go eat. I hope that touches somebody. I hope that touches somebody. Yeah, because I haven't eaten, y'all. So I'm going to be here for just a little bit longer. I'm going to bring up... I probably shouldn't do this. I'm not. I was going to drop the link. I can't do it. Because I'll be here and I would not have eaten. Today is the 7th, so tomorrow's the 8th. Early in the morning will be the zenith of the full moon. We are having a lunar eclipse. Here in the States, I want you to go vote in your midterms. I'm not going to say who to vote for, because that's none of my business. But I want you to exercise your vote. And I want you to think long and hard about where you're at right now. Think long and hard about where you're at. Where you were a few years ago. And are you any better? And then I want you to think about your local, your senators, your House representatives, your local Senate, your local, whatever it is, right? Your governor. I want you to really, really take tonight and do your last research on what they really stand for. And I want you to listen, read in between the lines and compare them. Don't worry about party affiliations. I want you to look at what they're really standing for. And I want you to think about whether or not you're better off. And why you are or you aren't. Now, this is the other thing. Now, I'm so much better. Now, I want you to think about why you're better off. I'm so much better because I unplugged from the goddamn matrix. I unplugged. I built my own. This is one thing I do want to say. Peace and blessings, honey. I will say this. She gonna be mad. There were my daughter's company did a 4% layoff today. 4% of its staff. My daughter has been with that company since its inception. 8 years. In June, it'd be 9. So she's been there 8.5 years. They are laying her off as of at the end of this month. After giving that company 8 years of her life. Now, I'm better off because I unplugged from the damn matrix. One thing Dame did say this is this too. You work for the corporations, they own you. At some point, they own you. You got to decide if you're going to go to war for certain things, whatever you're going to do, right? But when you're doing what you love to do, you could do it based on because you love money. Okay. But when you're doing what you love to do because you love to do it, the money comes. When you create your own table, you decide how long you're going to sit down today and when you're going to get up. You decide if you're going to add another place setting at that table. You're going to get new china. You're going to get new crystals, glassware, new silverware. You understand what I'm saying? You decide. I made my own table. I'm actually teaching her how to make hers. Over the weekend, we just started working on a project for the young lady that braids our hair. Branding. So I'll be starting my branding company here within the next 2 weeks. She does some social media. My daughter does social media. We've got website building. We can even help you build your CRM, sales funnels, whole 9 yards, products. So I'm going to start my branding company, kind of done for you, in 2 weeks. Why? I was already going to help her get her social media company off the ground. Now I got it. Now Mama Bear is like, oh, no, baby. We're going to build you. Here's another table right over here. Right here. I wasn't really quite, I got to sand it down. I got to finish it. But we can finish putting it together. We can get started. This is what you got to do if you got kids. We got to build for our children. We got to teach our children how to build for themselves. Now, she going to be okay. She's getting about 6 months or so plus worth of severance, plus other stuff. That girl probably won't have to work for a whole year if she don't want to. Okay? A corporate job. We're going to get her some insurance. Absolutely a blessing in disguise, Shiny. Absolutely. So I said, babe, we were wondering when was meant for you to start. There was a reason why you started, a reason why you took these degrees, and all this, that, and the third. Go ahead on. Do you. Let's get it started. You have to, I don't know who needs to hear it. It is time. If you are working a job, nothing wrong with it. But if you want something to do, matter of fact, I don't care even if you want it or you don't want it. It's time for you to create your own. You got to have you a side hustle because you don't know. Because these people are playing with this economy as far as on a corporate level. And the corporation's always going to make their money. I ain't mad at them. I'm an LLC, soon to be an S Corp. It is what it is. However, this country was not built on the back of corporations. This country was built on the back of the small to medium business owner, the entrepreneur. So we want to take back what is ours and we want to build, and we want to be our kings and queens again. We want to have our Black Wall Street. Mark my words, Black Wall Street is not going to be a physical location. Black Wall Street is already on the internet right now. Black Wall Street is in the ethers right now. So you better get started. Now, some of y'all have already taken my class, and some of y'all ain't started. Some of y'all ain't taking it yet. Some of y'all might wait for my branding company to get started at the end of this month, and then we can get you started and help you get your website up, running, everything like that. It's not going to be only for spiritual people, like spiritual coaches, healers, and that. So if you're selling something, hard goods, we'll be able to help you with that as well. All right? Okay, I'm getting on off here. I ain't doing that. Tomorrow, hopefully, I will be able to start announcing our Black Friday festival, which is going to be a virtual summit on Black Friday and on Small Business Saturday from noon to 7 both days. We're going to have, now, those of you that were in my class that's listening to me right now, y'all look out for your email tomorrow. I need you to sign up for your spot. I'm going to be interviewing people all day, and we'll have a panel discussion as well on both days. I'm going to interview all people all day, and you are going to get an opportunity to meet your spiritual BFF. Okay? Healers, teachers, mentors will all be here and all be a part of this fabulous opportunity. Also, there will be VIP tickets available for only $27. You're going to get all the replays from both days. And there's a potential we might have a Cyber Monday day as well. And then you'll also get your choice of two, really. I'm going to have three different offers to you. And you will be able to choose two out of the three various downloadable classes, master classes I've done recently. Okay. So there's that. So those of you who have taken the course, the Practical Lightworker, or any portion thereof, look in your email. I will be sending you an email to begin to ask you what your time slot is and tell you how you can participate. All right. Everybody else, be on the lookout, because I swear to you, I will. Honest to God. We're going to drop that information. I'm getting some other people, like AT2 is going to actually come over here as well. He'll be on there on that day, and he's going to be offering YouTube channel course, how to start your YouTube channel and grow it. So I'm going to have different offerings from other people as well. So it's going to be amazing. All right. Okay, guys, let me get on out of here so that I can eat. I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. All right. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys so much. We will see you all again very, 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 very soon. Look out tomorrow for some shorts as well. We're going to continue to talk about Mars retrograde, okay? All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Love ya. Namaste.